I always thought love meant sacrifice. That's what good daughters do, right? They give and give until there's nothing left but hollow bones and practice smiles. For 6 years, I worked double shifts at the hospital and weekends at the clinic, living on coffee and protein bars, watching my savings grow dollar by tired dollar. All for a dream of a forever home where my mother, sister, and I could finally be a real family. My name is Alana, and this is how I learned that some dreams are actually nightmares in disguise. Just sign here, dear. Mom tapped the mortgage papers with her manicured nail. It's better for tax purposes if we put it in Jessica's name. I hesitated, pen hovering over the document. The lawyer's office felt too warm, too small. But I'm providing the down payment. Shouldn't my name be? Don't be difficult, Alana, Jessica cut in, flashing that movie star smile she'd perfected since childhood. You know I'm better with financial stuff. Remember that investment account I managed last year? The one she drained for a spa weekend in Vegas. I remembered. Of course, I said quietly, signing away 6 years of my life. The scratch of pen on paper felt like nails on my skin. The house was beautiful, even if it needed work. 3 stories of Victorian charm with good bones and bad wiring. The kind of place that could be magnificent with enough love and effort. Just like our family, I thought. I'm taking the master suite, Jessica announced the day we moved in, dragging her designer suitcases up the grand staircase. Mom can have the second-floor bedroom with the bay window. And Alana? Mom asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. The attic's plenty big, Jessica said. Plus, she's barely home anyway with all her work hours. I carried my boxes up 3 flights of stairs to the uninsulated attic room. The slanted ceiling made half the space unusable, but the small window offered a view of the maple tree out front. I told myself it was cozy, intimate, a space all my own. That first month, I painted and cleaned during my off hours, installed new fixtures, repaired loose floorboards. Mom hosted dinner parties where I served drinks, and Jessica held court, telling everyone about her new house. I smiled and nodded, playing my usual role of invisible daughter. You're too good to them, Ruby, my best friend, said over coffee one morning. They're using you, Al. They always have. They're family, I replied automatically. Family takes care of each other. Ruby gave me that look, the one that said she knew better but wouldn't push, yet. Then came the night that changed everything. I was in my attic, trying to sleep after a 12-hour shift, when voices drifted up through the heating vent. Mom and Jessica, talking in the kitchen below. Can't believe she fell for it. Jessica's laugh, sharp as broken glass. The house is legally mine now. She has no claim to it. Well, she's always been simple that way. Mom's voice dripping with familiar contempt. So eager to please. How long should we wait before we get her out? Give it a few months. Let her finish the repairs first. Then we'll tell her we need the space for your home office. They laughed again, the sound crawling up the walls like poison ivy. I lay there, perfectly still, as 6 years of sacrifice crystallized into something hard and cold in my chest. That night, I learned that dreams don't die with a bang. They die with the quiet sound of laughter floating up through heating vents, with the casual cruelty of people who see your love as weakness. I didn't cry. Instead, I reached for my phone and typed out a text to Ruby. You were right. I need your help. Because sometimes the biggest sacrifice isn't what you give up. It's giving up on the lie that if you just love hard enough, they'll love you back. The next morning, I made breakfast like always, smiled like always. But something had shifted inside me, like a lock clicking into place. They wanted to play games? Fine. Let the games begin. You need to document everything, Ruby said, spreading legal papers across her office desk. Every conversation, every text, every joke about getting you out. Build a paper trail. I nodded, pulling out my phone to show her the notes I'd already started. I've been recording dates and times. Jessica's been telling everyone the house is hers. Yesterday she even posted photos on Instagram calling it My first property investment. Ruby's lips tightened. And the down payment? The mortgage payments? All from my account. I have the bank statements to prove it. Good. She pulled out a fresh legal pad. Now, tell me exactly what you heard through the vent that night. As I recounted the conversation, my father's words echoed in my head. One of our last talks before the cancer took him. Always prepare for what people don't want you to see, sweetheart. The truth hides in those spaces. Ruby's pen scratched across the paper. We can work with this. There's a legal mechanism called a deed rider, with the right language and timing. A knock at her office door interrupted us. Sorry, her assistant said, but your next client is here. Give me 5 minutes, Ruby called back. She turned to me, eyes serious. Are you sure about this, Al? Once we start, there's no going back. I thought about the attic room growing cold as winter approached, about Jessica's smirk when she accidentally locked me out last week after my night shift. I'm sure. That evening, I came home to find Jessica hosting another impromptu house party. Music thumped through the floors as I climbed the stairs. Oh, Alana! Jessica caught me halfway up. We're out of ice. Be a dear and run to the store? I just finished a 12-hour shift. Mom would really appreciate it. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Since you're living here rent-free and all. I went to get the ice. When I returned, Mom was holding court in the living room. Jessica has such an eye for property. This house is just the beginning of her investment portfolio. Actually, a guest said, didn't Alana put up the money for more wine? Jessica cut in smoothly, steering the conversation away. I retreated to my attic, but not before hearing Mom say, poor Alana. Always so practical, not an ambitious bone in her body. The next morning I met Jacob for coffee. We hadn't spoken much since our breakup 6 months ago, but he'd texted asking to catch up. You seem different, he said, studying my face. Harder somehow. Life lessons will do that. Al. He reached across the table, but I pulled my hand back. Whatever you're planning, revenge isn't the answer. It creates casualties. Speaking from experience? His jaw tightened. Maybe I am. Just be careful. I was careful. Careful to smile at breakfast. Careful to keep cleaning and cooking. Careful not to react when I found the draft eviction notice in the kitchen trash. But I was also careful to forward every bragging social media post Jessica made about her house to Ruby. Careful to save every text where Mom demanded I contribute more money, since we're letting you stay here. Careful to record Jessica's phone conversation where she laughed about how easy it was to con me. That night, I sat in my attic room, looking at old family photos. There was one of Dad teaching me to fish, his hands gentle as he showed me how to tie the line. The trick, he'd said, isn't in the casting. It's in knowing when to let the fish tire itself out. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Family meeting tomorrow. We need to discuss living arrangements. I texted back, of course, whatever's best for the family. Then I emailed Ruby. It's time, because sometimes the best revenge isn't in the casting of the line. It's in letting them think they've won, right up until they feel the hook. I went to sleep that night with Dad's fishing photo on my nightstand and a small smile on my face. The game was about to change, and they had no idea they were already caught. The family meeting started exactly how I expected. Mom perched on her favorite armchair, Jessica lounging on the sofa, both wearing expressions of rehearsed concern. Sweetie, Mom began, we've been thinking about the future of the house. Oh? I kept my voice neutral, hands folded in my lap. Well, Jessica leaned forward. I'm considering starting a small business from home. We could really use your room as an office space. I see. I watched a muscle twitch in Mom's jaw. She always hated when I was too quiet. It made her nervous. We've found some lovely apartments nearby, Mom rushed to add. Very suitable for someone in your position. The front door rattled then, Jessica's latest boyfriend trying his key in the lock. She'd given him one without asking me or Mom. Just another small reminder of who really owned the house. I understand, I said softly. Maybe it would be better for all of us. They exchanged quick glances, surprised by my easy agreement. I could almost see the triumph flickering behind their eyes. Later that night, I met Jacob at the diner where we used to have our Sunday breakfasts. He was already in our old booth, 2 coffee cups waiting. "You look terrible," he said as I slid in across from him. "Thanks. That's exactly what every woman wants to hear." "I mean, you look exhausted." He pushed 1 cup toward me. "And angry. It's in your eyes." "Maybe I have reason to be." "The house situation?" I told him about the meeting, about Jessica's boyfriend with his own key, about the lovely apartments they'd found for me. "Christ, Al." He ran a hand through his hair. "Why are you letting them do this to you?" "I'm not." I sipped my coffee. "Not anymore." His eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm handling it." "The way you handled things with your ex-boss?" He leaned forward. "The one who had to transfer departments after your complaint?" "He was stealing medications from the hospital." "And you made sure everyone knew it?" Jacob's voice softened. "Look, I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but revenge, it changes people, creates casualties." "You keep saying that." I stood up. "Maybe some casualties are necessary." At home, I found Jessica going through Mom's checkbook in the kitchen. She quickly shoved it into a drawer when she saw me. "Just helping Mom with bills," she said brightly. Later I checked the drawer. 3 checks had been torn out. I photographed the carbon copies underneath, all made out to Jessica's favorite boutique, all in Mom's forged handwriting. My phone buzzed with a text from Ruby. "Papers are ready. Sure you want to do this?" Before I could respond, Mom's voice carried up from downstairs. "Jessica, darling, have you seen my checkbook?" "No, Mom," Jessica called back. "Maybe ask Alana. She's been snooping around the kitchen." I typed back to Ruby. "Yes, do it." That night, I lay in bed listening to the house settle. Through the vent came Jessica's voice again, talking to Mom. "Once she's gone, we can convert the attic into a yoga studio. I know this amazing designer." I pulled out my phone and opened the email Ruby had drafted. 1 click would start everything in motion. 1 click to detonate the bomb I'd planted in their perfect plan. My finger hovered over the send button. Dad's voice in my head. "The thing about fish, sweetheart. Once they're hooked, they'll fight so hard they end up hooking themselves deeper." Jessica's laughter floated up through the vent again, followed by Mom's conspiratorial whisper. "We'll tell her next week. Give her 30 days to move out." I clicked send. The email whooshed away into the night, carrying with it 6 years of sacrifice, a lifetime of being the good daughter, and any chance of our family staying intact. But as I lay there in my cold attic room, listening to them plot my exit below, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Because sometimes the deepest cuts come from paper, and I had just sent them a stack of legal documents sharp enough to draw blood. The morning after I sent the email, I found Jessica's iPad lying unlocked on the kitchen counter. She'd always been careless with her things, expecting others to clean up her messes. A notification banner flashed across the screen. A text from Mom. "Did you delete those messages about the deed like I told you?" My hands didn't shake as I opened their message thread. There it was, months of evidence scrolling before my eyes. I quickly forwarded the entire conversation to myself. "The deed trick worked perfectly," one message read. "Alana's such a pushover." "Always so desperate to please," Mom had replied. "Useful but disposable." I heard footsteps on the stairs and quickly placed the iPad back exactly as I'd found it. Jessica bounced into the kitchen in her yoga outfit, fresh from a class I was paying for. "Morning, sis." She grabbed a green smoothie from the fridge, also paid for by me. "Sleep well in the igloo?" "The attic's not that cold." She stirred her smoothie with a metal straw. "Well, you won't have to worry about that much longer." The doorbell rang before I could respond. Jessica answered it, then called out with forced cheerfulness. Alana, there's someone here for you. A courier stood at the door with a thick envelope. Delivery for Alana Sutton. I signed for it, feeling Jessica's eyes boring into my back. Inside was Ruby's carefully crafted legal notice. The first strike. What's that? Jessica tried to peer over my shoulder. Just some work documents. I headed upstairs, but not before catching Mom's concerned expression from the living room doorway. That afternoon, I visited Grandma Nora's grave. I hadn't been since the funeral last year, but I needed her wisdom now more than ever. You teach people how to treat you, she used to say, usually while baking cookies or mending clothes. Set your boundaries early, or they'll walk all over your garden. I let them trample everything, Grandma, I whispered to her headstone. But not anymore. My phone buzzed. A text from Jacob. Heard about the legal notice. Call me? I ignored it. When I got home, Mom and Jessica were waiting in the kitchen. The iPad sat between them on the counter. We need to talk, Mom said, her voice brittle as thin ice. About what? Don't play innocent, Jessica snapped. We know you've done something. Legal papers? Really? I kept my face neutral. I'm just protecting my investment. Your investment? Mom's laugh could have frosted windows. The house is in Jessica's name. You have no claim to it. Check your email. They both reached for their phones. I watched their faces as they read Ruby's carefully worded legal document outlining the deed writer, the evidence of fraud, and the consequences of their actions. This is ridiculous, Jessica's voice shook. You can't do this. Actually, I can. And I did. After everything we've done for you? Mom stood up, trembling. We gave you a home. No, I said quietly. I gave you a home. With my money, my sacrifices, my life. We're family, Jessica tried, switching to her sweet voice. We can work this out. Family? I pulled out my phone and played the recording from the vent. Their own voices filled the kitchen, discussing how to get rid of me. The color drained from both their faces. You recorded us? Mom whispered. I learned from the best. I headed for the stairs. Check your mail tomorrow. There's more coming. You'll regret this, Jessica called after me. You're nothing without us. I paused on the steps. No, I was nothing with you. That's the difference. In my attic room, I pulled out the old photo album. There was a picture of Grandma Nora in her garden, showing me how to plant roses. The thorns are there for a reason, sweet pea, she'd said. Sometimes you need them to protect what's precious. I slipped the final envelope into the house drop box, addressed to the county clerk. By morning, everything would change. Sometimes the sharpest thorns are the ones you grow yourself. The county clerk's notice arrived at 9 a.m. I heard Jessica's scream from my attic room, followed by the thunder of footsteps on the stairs. What did you do? She burst through my door waving the papers. What the hell did you do? I took the notice from her shaking hands and read it aloud. Due to documented evidence of fraudulent misrepresentation, ownership of the property at 247 Maple Street is hereby transferred to Alana Sutton, effective immediately. This is a mistake. Mom appeared in the doorway, face ashen. I'm calling our lawyer. Go ahead. I handed the papers back to Jessica. Ruby's waiting for their call. Mom's fingers flew over her phone. I heard Ruby's voice answer on speaker. Law Offices of Hopkins and Associates. This is Beatrice. There's been a terrible mistake with our property deed. No mistake, Mrs. Sutton. Ruby's voice was pure steel. The deed writer your daughter signed was quite clear about the consequences of fraud. Would you like me to quote the clause about intentional misrepresentation? We'll fight this, Mom hissed. With what evidence? The texts discussing your plan to defraud Alana? The recorded conversations about evicting her? The forged checks? Mom's phone hand dropped slowly. You planned this, Jessica whispered. All along, you were planning this. I learned from the best. I stood up. You taught me how to play games, remember? I'm your sister. And I'm the daughter you used like an ATM, I told Mom. the sister you treated like a servant. We're your family, Mom tried. No, you're the people who laughed about throwing me out of the house I paid for. Jessica's face crumpled. Where are we supposed to go? There are some lovely apartments nearby, I echoed Mom's words from before. Very suitable for your position. The doorbell rang. Through my window, I saw Ruby standing on the porch, briefcase in hand. Get out of my room, I said quietly. Your room? Jessica laughed hysterically. This isn't over. You can't just get out. They backed away, Mom practically dragging Jessica, who had dissolved into tears. Downstairs, Ruby laid out the timeline. You have 30 days to vacate the premises. Any damage to the property will result in additional legal action. You helped her do this, Mom accused. You helped her destroy her family. No, Ruby replied. You did that all on your own. After Ruby left, I found Jessica in her room, throwing clothes into suitcases. I hope you're happy, she spat. You've ruined everything. You ruined it the moment you decided to steal what I worked for. Because you're so perfect? She whirled on me. Saint Alana, always sacrificing, always martyring herself. Did you ever think maybe we were sick of living in your shadow of superiority? My shadow? I laughed. I lived in the attic, Jess. I worked double shifts while you got spa days. How delusional are you? I hate you, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I hate you so much. I know. I turned to leave. The feeling's mutual. My phone buzzed. Jacob again. Heard what happened. This isn't you, Al. This isn't who you are. I texted back. Maybe it's who I needed to become. That night, I sat in the living room, listening to them move around upstairs, packing and crying and arguing. The house felt different now, like it was breathing easier, or maybe that was just me. Mom came down around midnight, looking older than I'd ever seen her. Was any of it real? I asked her. Did you ever love me at all? She stared at me for a long moment. You were always so much like your father, too honest, too unbending. That's not an answer. No, she said softly. I suppose it's not. She went back upstairs, leaving me alone with the victory I'd worked so hard for. It tasted like ash in my mouth, but at least it was mine. Just like the house, just like the silence, just like the consequences we'd all have to live with now. 2 weeks into the 30-day eviction period, and the house had become a war zone. Jessica refused to pack, instead throwing parties that left wine stains on my carpets. Mom alternated between icy silence and tearful manipulations. Your father would be so disappointed, she said over breakfast, stirring her coffee with aggressive little clinks. Dad taught me to stand up for myself, I replied, not looking up from my phone. Is that what you call this? She gestured around the kitchen. Throwing your family out on the street? You have 3 investment properties in the city. Stop pretending you'll be homeless. The doorbell rang. Another process server with more papers. Jessica had tried to contest the deed transfer. Ruby had shut it down within hours. Your sister's having a breakdown, Mom said later that evening, cornering me in the hallway. She's talking about self-harm. Then get her help. Real help, not another spa weekend. You're heartless. I learned from the best. My phone lit up with a text from Jacob. Coffee? Please? I met him at our old diner. He looked tired, worried. The neighbors are talking, he said without preamble. Jessica's been posting things online, calling you abusive, manipulative. Let her. Al, this isn't like you. The woman you knew let people walk all over her. I stirred my coffee, watching the cream create patterns. She's gone. Is she? He reached across the table, caught my hand before I could pull away. Because I see her right now, hurting and trying to hide it. I yanked my hand back. Don't psychoanalyze me. Someone has to. You're winning the house, but you're losing yourself. That night, I dreamed of being locked out in the cold. I was 12 again, pounding on the door while Jessica and Mom laughed inside. But this time, when the door finally opened, it was my own face staring back at me. I woke to crashes downstairs. Jessica was drunk, throwing photo frames at the wall. "Happy now?" she screamed when she saw me. "Is this what you wanted?" "Jess, stop. Don't call me that. You lost the right to call me that." She hurled another frame. "You're worse than we ever were. At least we were honest about who we are. You pretended to be this perfect, loving sister while plotting behind our backs." "I plotted?" I laughed, the sound harsh even to my ears. "You literally stole my house. Because you always had to be better than me. Poor, hard-working Alana, everyone's favorite martyr." "Enough," Mom appeared between us. "Jessica, go to bed. Alana, just go away." I retreated to my attic, but sleep wouldn't come. Around dawn, Ruby called. "The neighbors filed a noise complaint," she said. "We can use this to speed up the eviction." "No," I said, surprising myself. "Let the 30 days run." "Al, are you okay?" "I don't know anymore." Later, I found Jessica's phone unlocked again, this time on purpose. She'd posted a 5-paragraph screed about me on Facebook. The comments were filled with sympathy for her, condemnation for me. "Karma will get her," someone wrote. I wanted to laugh. Wasn't this karma? Wasn't this exactly what they deserved? But when I caught my reflection in the window, I didn't recognize the person staring back. Her eyes were hard, her mouth set in an unfamiliar line. She looked like Mom. My phone buzzed with a text from Ruby. "Remember what your grandmother used to say about revenge?" I did. "Revenge is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die." The house creaked around me, full of broken things. Broken trust, broken promises, broken people. In the distance, I heard Jessica crying in her room. Mom's murmured consolations. I touched the wall, feeling the pulse of the house I'd fought so hard to claim. It didn't feel like victory anymore. It felt like a tomb where 3 women had buried their humanity. Maybe Jacob was right. Maybe we were all casualties now. Moving day arrived with gray skies and bitter wind. I stood on the front lawn, watching the movers carry out boxes and furniture. Each item felt like a weight lifting from my chest, only to be replaced by something heavier. "Where should we put Miss Beatrice's china cabinet?" one of the movers asked. "Storage unit," Mom answered before I could speak. She hadn't looked me in the eye all morning. "Everything goes to storage until we figure out our next step." Jessica sat on the porch steps, mascara streaking her cheeks. She'd spent the morning taking videos for social media, narrating her eviction story between sobs. "And this is what family betrayal looks like," she narrated to her phone, camera pointed at me. "My own sister throwing us out of our home." "Your home?" I finally snapped. "Show them your bank account, Jess. Show them where the money came from." "Cut the performance," Ruby called from the driveway where she supervised the move. "Or we'll add harassment to the legal record." Jessica lowered her phone but kept glaring. "I hope you choke on your victory." The movers carried out Mom's antique mirror, the one Dad bought her for their 10th anniversary. It slipped, catching the light as it fell, shattering across the walkway. "That was your father's gift!" Mom screamed, the first real emotion she'd shown all day. "Are you happy now? Is this enough destruction for you?" I knelt to pick up a piece of glass. My reflection fractured across its surface, splitting my face into unrecognizable fragments. "Leave it." Ruby touched my shoulder. "The movers will clean it up." Jacob's car pulled up to the curb. He'd been texting all morning, asking to be here. I'd ignored him, but here he was anyway. "You don't have to watch this," he said softly, coming to stand beside me. "Yes, I do." The movers worked efficiently, emptying the house piece by piece. Jessica's designer clothes, Mom's collected treasures, the furniture we'd grown up with, all loaded into the truck like discarded memories. "This is what you wanted, isn't it?" Jessica's voice cracked. "To punish us?" "No." I turned to face her. "I wanted a family, a real one." "We were real," she screamed. "We were fine until you decided to play judge and executioner." "Fine?" I laughed. "You were stealing from me, both of you, using me like I was nothing." "Girls," Mom stepped between us, her face a mask of practiced concern. "We can still fix this. Alana, if you just reconsider—" "Stop!" My voice came out stronger than I felt. "No more manipulation, no more games, just go." Jessica threw her house key at my feet. "I hope you're happy alone in your stolen kingdom." "I didn't steal anything. I took back what was mine." Mom was the last to leave, pausing at her car. For a moment, I saw something flicker across her face. Regret, maybe, or recognition. "You know," she said quietly, "you're more like me than you think." She drove away before I could respond, leaving me with the echo of words that felt like a curse. The house stood empty now, except for my things in the attic. Ruby squeezed my hand and left. Jacob lingered. "Want company?" I shook my head. "I need to do this part alone." Inside, the house echoed with absence. I walked through each room, touching walls that now belonged solely to me. In the kitchen where we'd shared meals, up the stairs where Jessica used to practice dance routines, past Mom's room with its bay window. Finally, I climbed to my attic. Sat on the floor where I'd spent so many nights planning this moment. The victory felt hollow, rattling around the empty house like a ghost. I didn't realize I was crying until I tasted salt on my lips. The tears came silently, years of hurt washing out with them. Through the window, I watched the moving truck drive away, carrying the remains of my family with it. I'd won the house, but the cost was written in broken mirrors and shattered relationships. Sometimes winning feels exactly like losing. The first night alone in the house, I slept in every room except the attic, testing each space, feeling the emptiness, letting it settle into my bones. When morning came, I made a decision. Ruby arrived with coffee and concern. "You missed our check-in call." "I'm selling the house." She nearly dropped her cup. "What? After everything?" "Not to them," I said quickly. "Never to them, but I can't live here. Every room feels like a battlefield." "So what's your plan?" I showed her the notebook where I'd been writing all night. "Split the proceeds 3 ways. 1 part for a smaller place for me, 1 part in a trust for Jessica if she ever gets help, 1 part to renovate Grandma Nora's old cottage by the lake." "The cottage you inherited?" "Dad always said it had good bones." I managed a small smile. "Like this place, but better memories." My phone buzzed. "Jacob. Need help packing?" "Actually, yes." He arrived with boxes and pizza. We worked through the afternoon, sorting through what to keep, what to donate. Every object felt lighter as I decided its fate. "You seem different," he said, carefully wrapping a photo of Dad. "More yourself." "I'm trying to be." The doorbell rang. Jessica stood on the porch, looking small without her usual armor of designer clothes and makeup. "What do you want?" I asked through the screen door. "To return this." She held out an old teddy bear, the one I'd given her when she was scared of thunderstorms as a kid. "It was mixed in with my stuff." "Keep it. I don't want your pity gifts." "It's not pity, Jess. It's letting go." She studied my face. "Mom's not eating, barely leaves her bed." "That's manipulation." "No, it's truth. For once." She hugged the bear to her chest. "We really messed up, didn't we?" "We all did." She nodded slowly. "I found a therapist. Actually found one. Not just a spa weekend." "Good. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not offering it. Not yet." She turned to leave, then stopped. "The house, what you're doing with it. Mom's going to see it as another betrayal." "Maybe. But I'm done living for her approval." After she left, Jacob helped me pack up the kitchen. "You okay?" "Getting there." Ruby called with news. She'd found a buyer, a young family with 3 kids and kind eyes. They loved the bones of the house, saw its potential. That night, I finally went back to the attic. Sat by the window where I'd planned my revenge, watched the maple tree dance in the wind. Dad's voice echoed in my head. Sometimes winning means walking away. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Jessica told me about the house, about the trust, about everything. I waited. Another text. I don't understand you anymore. I wrote back. Maybe you never did, but I'm starting to understand myself. No response came. I hadn't expected one. In the morning, I started repairs on Grandma Nora's cottage. Each swing of the hammer felt like breaking down old walls inside myself. Each new coat of paint felt like possibility. Jacob brought lunch, rolled up his sleeves to help. Ruby stopped by with contracts and quiet support. Even Jessica sent a text. The bear still smells like your attic. I wrote back. Thunder's rolling in tonight. Hold it tight. The cottage slowly transformed, just like the spaces inside me. Not healed, not yet, but changing, growing. The lake reflected different shadows than the ones I'd been chasing. Standing on the dock at sunset, I finally understood what Dad meant about letting fish tire themselves out. Sometimes the biggest battles are the ones you walk away from. Sometimes the strongest move is putting down your weapons and building something new. I touched the cottage's worn siding, feeling its steady heartbeat under my palm. Hello, house, I whispered. Let's heal together. Because sometimes home isn't about winning or losing. Sometimes it's just about finding your way back to yourself.